world has changed, and a lot of research, scoping studies, meta-analysis, systematic reviews are being done using work that's available online. I recently did a systematic review actually on disclosure of sexual violence in Africa, and I used information or resources, published material that's available online. And most of the work that you can find online is either done in South Africa or it's work that's done by people based in the global north. So work that is done here in Africa is not exactly visible. And there's evidence to show that Africa produces only 0.7% of the world's research output, which is actually not true. We do a lot of research, but this research is not visible. And that says a lot of things about our capacity to do research. So that's one thing I wanted to say. Secondly, the fact that the research that's visible is done by people who are based in the north is a bit problematic for me, because I believe that we need to see research that's done by people who have lived the experience of African childhood. They have grown here in Africa. They know what it means to be a child in Africa. And when they do this research, they can interpret it with that in mind, with a local or contextualized mind, and that produces the evidence that we desire to see. So less than 1% of the money that's spent on research, only 1%, less than 1% is spent on Africa. The rest of the money is spent on other countries. So there's very, very strong evidence that is not visible in research that is visible. And I have a problem with that, and I want us to talk about that in a bit more detail. So yeah, then another thing, of course, is that I wanted to highlight is there's one person who has written a lot of work on one of the papers he published is called From Africa to the World, and he writes about this notion of helicopter science, like people coming from outside Africa, so they fly here and do research on Africa, specifically African children, and they take it out and do a lot of things with it, and sometimes without exactly giving credit to the local communities. So that there are so many things that underlie this kind of practice, but one of the things is the savior complex that motivates some of these scholars, but also there's a lot of injustice that happens in that process, what I would call epistemic injustice. I don't want to sound very philosophical, but